Things are a little bit settling after the eclipse, hopefully. Yeah. The nature of eclipse is really interesting because the period between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, the energy of that, and even what we're seeing in America, it's to unearth loads of things. It unearths loads from the shadow. And not just shadow generally in the world and society, but even within us. So that journey between the eclipses could have felt a little bit ropey and hairy and everything in between that during those weeks. Yeah, we might have felt emotional or a bit frazzled or tired or energized, and a whole mixture of all of those in the same day sometimes. Yeah, and these are sort of like natural healing cycles that the energy of the planet brings us on anyway. Yeah, and it's really good to have support with that. I remember, if I go back to before I started this journey, and I go back to what it felt like doing the work that I was doing or being in the world that I was in, and how easily it was that I felt stressed, how easy it was that I felt burnt out. In fact, that was kind of my usual feeling, was to feel kind of burnt out. And it was only when that went significantly into minus figures and I would hit a wall that I would realize, God, I'm actually exhausted. Yeah, I'd lost that ability to really regulate how I was feeling or recognized when I needed anything. Yeah. And so that, in one way or another, brought me onto this path. And it's one of the nicest things that I noticed to be different in myself, is that ability to recognize a little bit more clearly of what I need. And it might be as ordinary as I'm thirsty, or I'm hungry, or I'm tired, or I want to be on my own, or I want to be around people, I want to watch something funny, I want to read something. A lot of it is as ordinary as that. But that's just being able to be really present to just what's going on in me and what that needs. Yeah. We can have this impression, especially if we look at social media world, that gives us an impression of how other people are, how other people's lives are, how their relationships are, how perfect they are, how perfect every dinner they have is, how perfect every photo they have is, how their hair, makeup, everything is always perfect. And so that we can translate that, even though we know that's not real. Yeah, but there's a part of us that looks at that takes the translation of it as there's something real about that. Yeah, they're not taking a picture of a fake dinner. That is their actual dinner. That is an actual photo of them. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But we miss the picture of the whole life. Yeah. When we absorb a message like that, and we take on an impression that's a little bit like feeling that we need to be perfect in some way, that robs us of being able to fall apart when we need it. It robs us of being able to be messy when we need to be messy. It robs us of being able to just do what we need or respond to what we need as that shows up. If we're trying so hard to be perfect, whatever that means, but if we're trying to live to something, it means that we've stopped being real. How do you all feel about this? Yeah? Yep. We've stopped being real. We've stopped just being us. Yeah. You'll hear stuff like this all the time of, you just need to love yourself and then people will love you. Or you just need to accept yourself and then other people will accept you. These, to me, sound like the most bullshitty words ever, because I could never translate them into something that I could feel. These were always things that I seemed to sort of stumble into kind of accidentally, and then realize when I was in the midst of it, oh, maybe this is accepting myself. Maybe this is what they're talking about. Or maybe this is loving myself. It was never so clear to me that I could walk a path into it. Yeah. But over the years of practicing this, I've started to build a picture of what self-love and self-connection or self-acceptance, all that kind of stuff, what that translates to in my ordinary day-to-day life, as much as I can, is just being present, just being as honest I can as about how I am, about what I'm doing, and being really honest about how I feel in that. How I feel in my work, how I feel in my day, how I feel with the people around me, how I'm feeling in, the challenges of it. It's easy feel good when it's nice weather and work is running smoothly and everything in your life is running smoothly. But then, you hit bumps, the car breaks down or something else goes wrong. And suddenly we're thrown off course and we're trying to find a way to handle that. Yeah. Social media world doesn't necessarily equip us with the skills to handle what goes wrong. We're totally allowed to have wobbles. We're totally allowed feel like we've failed something or broken something. It's a really essential part of building our confidence that we fail at something. It builds our confidence perhaps even more than success. Because when we fail, we have to really dig deep and see, do I want to give this another go? Or if I do want to give it another go, how am I going to do that? How do I live with that? How do I live with the mistake or the wrong decision or maybe the wrong timing of something? How do I salvage something of that? We're much better at this than we give ourselves credit for. A lot of the time we stop ourselves from digging deep when we're in failure because of our expectation that everybody else has theirs together. True? We're really good at that. It's actually one of the things that's really solidly inbuilt in us. That survival instinct. Yeah. That when something goes wrong, I find a way through it. Even if it's messily, I still find a way through it. Yeah. So how is this relevant to meditation class? My experience of this meditation path has not just been about, the peace, love, and light of meditation. Because it is that, yeah, that's fair. But it's been much more of a finding out about myself. It's become much more of a journey of getting to know myself at levels that up until a few years ago weren't really available to me. Meditation brought me into a space where I could really, really get to know myself at deeper and deeper levels. Now, I'm not quite sure what it is about getting to know ourselves that has a terrifying effect on us. I don't know I haven't quite put my finger on why that feels so terrifying. That there's a part of us that's a little bit afraid to look. That's a little bit afraid to see what's going on in here. And we're a little bit afraid to have a look ourselves, and we're even more afraid if somebody else sees it. What if somebody else sees mine before I see it? Then we feel really inadequate. Yeah. But if I see myself, okay, I can handle that. I can find a way through it. It might take me days, months, years, but we can sort of feel okay about that. Yeah. But we're afraid to look. Or are we afraid of what we'll find? Are we afraid that it will be so awful or so unforgivable or so messy or so painful? What are we afraid of? Because I tell you what I found from looking, yeah? So yes, I definitely found my shit. Yeah, I definitely found that. Mm-hmm. But it was much easier to work through than I anticipated. My fear of it was far greater than what I actually found. And what that revealed was far greater than I could have ever imagined. Far, far greater than I ever imagined. After a couple of years of meditating at a steady level, you'll notice things like people will remark on your energy. They have no idea that you do whatever meditation that you do. But they will remark on, oh, you seem really happy. Yeah, I got this a lot in Brazil. Or I found out through people that were talking about me. Who's that girl? She looks really happy. Or she seems really, she's got, it all together, or whatever way they had of saying that. So there was something of that lightness or that ease of things that was noticeable. And I wasn't always comfortable there. Yeah, you're in new situations and you're trying to suss out who's cool to talk to, or do I just want time to myself, or whatever. So it's not totally comfortable, yeah? But how it becomes evident, or how it is evident to people around us about who we are. we can have this perception, and it's our mind does this, yeah, that when our mind doesn't want to look at who we are, it can trick us into thinking that nobody else can see it either. If I'm hiding it from me, then nobody can see it. So without me being really conscious of whatever energy is radiating from me when I am in new situations, and especially in situations where nobody knows me. Yeah, in Japa world, people know me. They know I'm a teacher, so you get there's a level of respect and recognition that goes with that. Yeah, and it's cool. But then you go somewhere, nobody knows you from anybody. Yeah, but just noticing how people react to lightness, or how people react to a smile. So, the gist of this is that through meditation, we can find a way of looking at ourselves while at the same time giving ourselves a space that we can work with. The space where we can look. It's a space where we can learn to not judge what we find. And we might judge it initially. Yeah, you know how we can be really harsh in our mind, or we can be really critical. Because the world teaches us to look at things in that sort of way. So when we initially start to look at ourselves, we can be forgiven that we might look in that sort of way at it.